My name is Chris Barth. This is the video submission for my final project for FSE 365 Instructor Methodology, Eastern Kentucky University, taught by Chief Paul Grant. Today we're going to be going over how to use a portable fire extinguisher using the PASS method. PASS stands for pull, aim, squeeze, sweep. The P in PASS is pull. We're going to pull the pin or the tag. The A is aim for aiming the nozzle at the base of the fire. The first S is squeeze, as in squeezing the handle, which will allow the agent to discharge the extinguisher. And sweep is the final S, and you're going to sweep at the base of the fire. For the pull, each extinguisher will have some sort of pin or a tag located down at the handle, which keeps the top handle, which is what depresses the pressure lever and allows the agent to discharge. It keeps any accidental discharges from happening. So you will first pull the pin. You can drop it on the ground. Some extinguishers have cords attached to them that keep them attached to the extinguisher. This one does not. It'll just fall on the ground. You can pick it up after the fire's been extinguished or whenever it is safe to do so. The pin also shows that it's been serviced and inspected. Extinguishers have to be inspected once a year by law. And it also shows that the extinguisher has not been used or tampered with since the last inspection. If the tag is missing, the extinguisher either needs to be serviced or replaced. It could be from it already being used, which they're only allowed one use before they have to be inspected and serviced again. So once again, if the tag is missing, it needs to either be inspected or serviced or just completely replaced. The aim, as you can see on this extinguisher, it has a rubber hose that allows you to aim. Some extinguishers do not. They just have like a metal discharge port, which they basically just cut this rubber hose off and there's a little nozzle on the end. Either way, you just aim at the base of the fire. You want to be about 6 to 10 feet away, if not further. If you get too far back, the extinguisher's not going to reach. But you don't want to be close enough to where you can obviously burn yourself, smoke inhalation, smoke in the eyes, anything like that. And the first S is squeeze. You're going to squeeze the handle. If you notice on this extinguisher, when you pick it up from the bottom. The bottom handle is stationary. Now with this pin in, the extinguisher is not going to discharge, but the top handle, as you can see, is the one that moves, is the one you press down, which actually allows the agent to discharge the extinguisher. Basically inside of the extinguisher, there's another rubber hose like this. Almost like any other aerosol can or anything. There's a tube that goes down and it's pressurized. So when you depress this, it's basically pulling the lever up, allowing the agent to discharge through the extinguisher. And the final S is sweep. You're going to sweep from side to side. If this blue recycle bin is our fire for safety purposes, you're going to take the nozzle and you're going to just sweep from side to side at the base. You want to make sure you're aiming at the base because that's where the actual fuel for the fire is. If you spray above, you're going to be spraying flames, which is just smoke particles and fuel that's rising up into the air, and it's not going to extinguish the fire. As we know with the fire tetrahedron, you need to take away one of the elements. If you spray at the base of the fire, you're going to smother or suffocate, therefore eliminating the fire. A few safety points to go over as far as fire extinguishers. They're not really designed to completely put out the fire. It's obviously what the fire department's for, while they have hose and a lot of water. It's basically designed to slow the fire to allow evacuation. If you're in a building or classroom, an office, even in your kitchen, and the fire is keeping you from being able to escape, the extinguisher is designed to make egress and not just fully put out the fire and knock down any other exposures or extensions. It's very important that you don't risk your safety just to use an extinguisher. Any property can always be replaced. Human lives obviously cannot. So if you're risking your personal safety in order to use an extinguisher to put a fire out, you're definitely putting yourself in harm's way and risking a lot to save a little. Also, if there is a fire and you're the one that's using the fire extinguisher, you want to make sure somebody else is notified 911. You can use a fire extinguisher all day, but if the fire gets away from you and the fire department hasn't already been notified, you have bigger problems. You need to make sure that somebody is calling 911 and getting the fire department there. That way they can come in and inspect if you have the fire out. And if you don't have the fire out, you've got to knock on it, slow it down. They can come in and finish the job with all their equipment. Also, if you feel unsafe, evacuate. Don't feel the need to ever feel like you have to use an extinguisher. You're not obligated to. If you choose to do so and you want to step up and do it, great. If you don't feel comfortable and feel like you need to evacuate, evacuate. That's the #1 priority. Like I said before, don't risk yourself to save property or anything if you feel unsafe. Also, if you exit a structure, don't go back in searching for an extinguisher, then to go find the fire. If you can see one in sight within reach, grab it, cool. If not, don't hang around inside. It gets way too hot, smoke, toxic gases, stuff that we go over every day in our other classes. So we'll go over the parts of the extinguisher. I touched on that briefly just a moment ago. You've got the cylinder, which they're commonly red. Some are white or silver, like a metallic or aluminum. But you have the cylinder. You have the, I guess for port you could call it, where the lever is inside of here. On the inside you have, just like picture this, there's a hose that runs down where the actual agent and pressurization is. This is a wall bracket. You can obviously screw it into a wall and the extinguisher will hang. That's what you commonly see in businesses, schools, office buildings, restaurants, stuff like that. Obviously you have your pin. And this gauge right here, as you can see, this extinguisher is brand new. The lever is inside of the green, which shows that the extinguisher is good for use. Once you use this extinguisher once, it's going to go into the red. It'll either be overcharged if they overcharge it when it's manufactured, or it's undercharged, meaning that it's already been used. Either way, if it's anywhere in the red, it needs to be inspected or replaced. Various companies do that. There's private companies that do it. I know at EKU, the fire lab takes care of it. The students that work in the fire lab, they go around and inspect all the extinguishers yearly. And then you have your nozzle, your hose tube, like just point and sweep. And then attached to this pin is the inspection tag. This one's blank because the extinguisher was just purchased, but you have your date and inspected by. Like I said earlier, they have to be inspected yearly. If you see an extinguisher that is out of its yearly inspection, it should be taken out of service or inspected immediately to ensure that it is in functioning condition. Put this back in. Moving on, you'll probably see different kinds of extinguishers. Obviously you have your PW cans, which are silver. Sometimes you'll see in kitchens little white household extinguishers. Your telltale extinguisher is red. It's what you'll most commonly see. You have ABC extinguishers, which is what this one is. It's your most common, what you'll see in a lot of your office buildings, what people buy to put in their houses. It's for your everyday uses. Class A fires, obviously your household goods, wood, paper, various things like that. And then you have B, which is flammable liquids, gasoline, diesel fuel if you get to that point. And then Class C, which is your electrical fires, electrical outlets, the electrical portion of generators, various things that you would see inside your house. So that's your ABC. They also make BC, which is just flammable liquids and electrical only. You don't really want to use it on wood, paper, or anything. Each extinguisher, the ABC is obviously designed for those three. The BC is designed for just the BC. If you use one on a different class of fire, you can have bad results, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. And you also have Class K extinguishers. I've also heard them referred to as Purple K, different things like that. They are for kitchen use, most commonly your grease fires. You find them in residential, people buy them to put them in their kitchens, underneath their sink. You'll see them primarily in restaurants and cafeterias. I know it's required by law that they have certain kinds of extinguishers to handle grease fires and various things like that. Your types of extinguishers, you have just your basic foam, which is what this extinguisher here is. It's a water and foam mixture. You'll see that here in a minute when we do a hands-on demonstration. You have CO2 extinguishers. It's carbon dioxide, and it basically suffocates the fire. You can kind of tell those because it'll look just like this, but it has a big cone on the end of it. It'll just almost like a snow cone scoop or an ice scooper that's fully enclosed or round. And obviously it discharges carbon dioxide. You have PW cans, which are the silver water cans. All it is you take water from a hose, put it into the extinguisher, screw the cap on, and there's a little port that you pressurize it with an air compressor. You'll see those primarily on fire engines. Not too many people have those just hanging around their house unless they've acquired one from a fire department. That's primarily used on your Class A fires because it is just water. You don't want to go spraying that on electrical or grease fires or anything. And then you have Class K, which is it's a special chemical agent designed to use grease fires. Rolling into the importance of knowing what classes to use. If you use a PW can, which is just water, on a grease fire, obviously it's not going to help. All your grease is just going to go everywhere because the grease will float on top of the water and it'll just make more fire and a bigger mess. Just like if you were to use a Class K extinguisher on an electrical fire, you don't really want to put a wet agent on electrical because water is a conductor of electricity. You can kind of use common sense and see how that would be problems for both of those situations. Some common locations of fire extinguishers. If you just walk around anywhere on EKU's campus, you'll see them. They are in doorways, just inside doorways, in the middle of hallways. Things we've learned in FSE 101 and talked a little bit about in 120 and fire protection systems and whatnot. You know, there's certain locations that they have to be. You'll find those there by fire codes and regulations. Sometimes they have signs which can either look like this. They'll be right above the fire extinguisher, so if you're looking around you can see a sign. Also, they make little triangular tags that can hang from the ceiling. I think I've seen a couple of those inside the Stratton building. That'll kind of help you identify where the fire extinguishers are. Obviously, once again, if you don't see one, just evacuate. That's the main important thing to hit on. You're not obligated to do anything. You don't have to use an extinguisher. If you don't see one, just evacuate, notify the fire department, and let them come do their job. That's why they have all the specialized equipment, gear, and training. All right, now we're going to do a hands-on demonstration. For safety purposes, we're not going to use any live fire. The trash can is going to be a simulated trash can fire that we can commonly see on campus, whether it be in a classroom because of a cigarette butt, the little smoke shack, receptacle things, even though tobacco is outlawed on the campus of EKU now. So we're going to go through the pass method that we talked about earlier in the lesson. So first, check the extinguisher. It's in the green, so I know it's good to go. I'm going to pull the pin, and for this time you're just going to drop it. And I'm about 6 to 10 feet away. And once again, we're simulating that the blue recycle bin is on fire. I'm going to aim the nozzle at the base. I'm going to squeeze and sweep. And as you can see, it kind of started to smother from the base and ended up into the trash can. We'd simulate that would in fact extinguish the fire. If it was such a small fire, you could always walk up and just kind of hit it again to let it know that, or not let it know, but to ensure that the fire's out. But once this has happened, you want to evacuate and make sure that the fire department is on the way. And then they're going to come in and inspect. They'll use their thermal imaging cameras, inspect the walls for any exposures and anything else that we've already learned about in other places. So that's it for this lesson. You can kill the video.